Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're back for the first time in, I don't know, an amount of weeks.
August 28th is when we recorded last.
Almost a month.
Yeah. No, it's like about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then the next one will also be in
about 3 weeks.
Yes, because I will not be here next week. So.
And then I work the 2 weeks after that.
Also, if you heard paper flipping.
Although maybe not. We
maybe
might be sooner.
Yeah.
But let's plan on 3 weeks.
Yes.
In case. Yeah, I don't want to set you guys up for something. You being the listeners.
Set the listeners up to failure. We never do that.
I try really hard. Well,
at this point, can we disappoint them more?
I didn't want to set them up for I didn't want them to expect anything from us.
You didn't want them to gain hope again.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Understandable.
Underpromise, overdeliver.
Yeah, it's like a legit. It's my management style.
I heard underpromise, and then it's just like, all right, and then I just stopped.
You guys have both met my coworker CJ, right?
Yes.
He likes to joke that my management style is guilt trip him into doing work because he's my friend and he feels bad for not doing work for me, which he's not wrong.
Yeah. No.
It's a very solid management style. Like, hey, I know you hate your job as much as I do, but like we actually got to get some work done. Can you help me out?
Yep.
The show has begun.
Yeah.
It still says starting soon.
Oh, I did. Yep. There we go.
Now
it started. That was just all. We were just vamping before. Now's the time. We can talk about board games because it's a board gaming podcast.
We have a pre-scroll
Yeah.
on Twitch that does stuff.
Anyway,
you can watch us on Twitch do this.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can see the before times.
And hear a bunch of random chit chat before we hit record.
Because people actually showed up.
Yeah, that helps.
You know, we made them long for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, I've heard.
Yes. Now we've given them a taste. See you in 3 weeks, suckers.
Anyway, Zach is correct. This is a board gaming podcast, so we should probably talk about board games. Maybe what we've been playing recently. Zach, how about you start us off this week?
Well, Kaiser, Wes, and I, Kaiser and Wes, we were talking about Terraforming Mars on our Discord.
Correct. Yeah, we've moved.
Yeah. Slack is
months
dead.
ago.
Slack is still technically there.
It is a ghost town, especially because it deletes messages after like 90 days. So it's rapidly becoming empty.
And we moved to Discord because it does not do that.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
So we were talking in the board gaming channel about Terraforming Mars, what expansions to play, which ones not. And Kaiser had said, well, because everybody says don't play with these expansions. I've never played with these expansions, but he actually wanted to try them out. So he, Wes, and I got in a little, little discussion group of our own, and we were like, hey, I'm fine with playing those to try them out again, maybe to see if, my opinion changes them at all. They wanted to actually try them out. So we did 2 games of it. The first one was with Venus. So we played with the map, the extra maps and Prelude always. Because
Correct.
Those are always a good, those are just straight positives. But we added Venus on the first one, and then we switched over to Colonies on the second one. We wanted to do each one separately. So Venus, I can confirm, no need to get it, don't need to play it, because it's just more, but it doesn't add, it's not a good more, it just feels like more, if that makes sense.
I feel some future expansions also added a little bit more Venus as well.
Yes.
Yes, almost every expansion has some cards that like deal with floaters and like some of that Venus specific stuff.
Yeah.
So you do have to call those out when if you get, Prelude or something.
I wonder if Venus would be good if you played only with Venus and all of those future Venus cards just in with the base expansion.
I feel like the core aspect of Venus, like just having that extra track, is the wrong kind of more. For
because you're increasing something that doesn't count towards the end game goals, right? It's not
correct.
Like, because I was looking at it, it's like, oh, is it I couldn't remember, is it a 4th thing we need to increase? No, it's still, we only care about terraforming Mars. If we terraform Venus, great. If not, who cares? But so it was increasing it just like in the same way of like the advanced cards and base Terraforming Mars, like increase like your money and get better production. The corporate era, thank you. But they rarely actually go towards the end of the game with actually terraforming things.
Yes.
They just make you more money.
They make you more money. This felt like that same sort of thing, but not as interesting. So like we played it once, and then Kaiser was like, "Yeah, I'm probably not going to play it again." I did get a shitload of points from cards, which was nice.
There you go.
Got Jupiter cards, and I had so
At least they notice fucking cull on my weight to draft them out of you.
Well, so obviously I just had like 3 or 4 Jupiter cards in my hand that
you started with.
That I started with.
Yeah,
that I just
cool,
never
cool.
played
Cool,
until
cool,
the
cool.
end.
Yeah.
So that people wouldn't know that. But
Yeah.
the first, like one of the first things that happened was like 2 out of the 3 corporations were like, all right, you need to dig through the deck until you find like 2 space cards or 2 floater cards. We went through about half the fucking deck before we got their cards. And I just kept seeing, oh, there's a Jupiter card. Fuck. There's a Jupiter card. Fuck. Oh, there's the one that's the Jupiter scoring card. God damn it. Because I kept those on. And so we were able to at least get through the deck enough that some of those started popping up. And I was able to blind draw one of the Jupiter scoring ones. And I was like, oh
nice.
Thank God.
Draw 7, keep 1.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, especially with that, I knew I was like,
That's a race for the galaxy.
Yes, it is.
Reference, everyone.
I want to say like just through actions, I had like 5 card draw just on my own, like outside of the normal drafting and all that stuff. It was like, I could help burn through that deck on my own. So I ended up getting like 52 points from cards.
God damn.
Yeah. And it was one of those moments too of like, I didn't have much of a presence on the board. And I got a couple, I got a milestone, I got an award or something, but I was like lagging behind on their stuff. And then I was just like, oh yeah, now it's time for fucking points. And I just rocketed right past them.
I have seen people with lower total scores
Yeah.
than 52.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So we played that. And then the next week we decided to do Colonies. Colonies is an expansion I actually like. If people don't want to play with it, it's fine. But I actually do like it because it adds something new in how the colonies work.
I enjoyed, I think, Colonies the most, though I've only played Turmoil once.
I do want to play Turmoil again at some point, but it just felt like it added too much different stuff that like it made it added too many things that aren't Terraforming Mars, because like Colonies still felt like an essence of Terraforming Mars, and it added interesting tracks of like we had some for Titanium. Fucking Wes got early on one of the cards that lets him he can spend 1 less to do trade with colonies. So instead of like 9 money, 3 energy, or 3 titanium, he could just spend 8 money, 2 energy, or 2 titanium. And then he also got to increase the colony track by 1, thus increasing the amount of resources he would get anytime he would do it. Luckily, he never got a second fleet ship, so he could only trade once. But more often than not, he would just go to he'd have 2 titanium. He would go to the titanium place and just turn it into 4 titanium for free, basically. So
And how many trade ships can you have? Is it 3?
I don't know if there's a strict limit of them other than peace limited.
Yeah.
But there aren't that many cards that let you do it.
It's just hard to get cards to get a lot of them.
Kaiser got one of the fleet cards, so he was able to get a second one, but he just didn't have enough resources to like reliably use it. But I do like having the colonies in there. There were a good amount of items that were the floaters and stuff that it does, like looking at them, they don't like they can sort of be, because floater is very generic. Like you could use those cards on their own, because a lot of them would be like, add a floater on here and then spend 2 floaters to do whatever. And so like you could use that card even without Venus, but you just are missing out on it working nearly as, synergizing as well.
Correct.
But there were a decent amount of those cards that we still called out as we drew them, we just discarded them. But there was that game, I screwed over Kaiser pretty hard multiple times, because he basically just like laid out his cards like 1 turn early before he was just like, he's like revealing a full house. He's like, all right, at the end of my next turn, I'm actually going to be able to play these cards. And then it's just like, okay, well, so in that instance, he had 3 cities in a triangle and he had like 1 space right in the center. So obviously he wants to put a greenery there. And so I was like, okay, well, I have exactly enough. I can sell this 1 card or sell all these cards. They may be good, but it's going to give me exactly 16 that'll let me play this commercial district that can go fucking right there.
Hell yeah.
And get a lot of points. Get 3 points from them, but then also deny him 3 points from having a greenery right there.
Yeah, and arguably 4 if you include the value of the greenery itself,
exactly.
but he could put it somewhere else. So
yeah, so he was very pissed off at me for doing that. Understandably.
Yeah.
I did my classic move of I convinced Wes. I attacked Wes, and then I convinced him. So it was I reduced Wes's production of something. I don't remember what it was. And then he was going to come back and reduce my plant production. I think I had 1, and it was going to reduce it to 0. And Kaiser had 2 production, and then he was at 1. Like it would bring him down to like 1. And so I was able to help convince Wes. Well, Kaiser's the better target for that than me. And then as soon as he did that, I then played 2 cards that let me get up to 8 plant production.
Jesus Christ.
So classic Zach move. And then the last one is Kaiser funded an award for whoever was nearest, who had the most tiles next to lakes. And he did that. And looking at the board, he had 6 tiles. I had 5 tiles. He played that, and there were 2 tiles left to be taken. And so I was like, okay, well, obviously I need to put a greenery here and then just buy something over there so I can get that. And he was just like, mother. And I was like, look, I'm sorry, but it was right there. And now it got me more points. And I ended up beating Wes by 2 points, I think. So by leeching points from Kaiser, I was able to win the game. So it was closer, a lot closer that time. But I still improve. Look, it's great fun to play with me. You just can't listen. You can never listen to me.
Never listen to Zach.
But the problem is that I always have such great advice.
And then when you inevitably listen to Zach, don't listen to him when he's like, all those things I did, that's Jeff's fault.
Look, I can't help it. That's my main goal in any TI game I play. The secondary is winning.
Yeah.
First one is convince somebody to attack Jeff, and that Jeff then attacks them. Because I know you know it's me, but you're still attacking them for their, let's call it, stupidity, gullibility,
lack of critical thinking.
And then so I enjoy that. But still enjoy these games. We're gonna do Turmoil at some point, but they also want to try out Ares Expedition too. So we're gonna be playing that.
Yeah, I have all the Ares Expedition, and I've only really played the one time we live streamed. Is
there new stuff for Ares?
Yeah.
There's Crisis. There's 3 expansions.
It's the expansion that's like, oh, we need to make this more like Terraforming Mars.
Okay.
They released 3 expansions, and then I think if you did the Kickstarter, it's all in one.
Yes. Yeah. It was like
But then you can buy them separately.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because they're like modules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think one of the modules turns it cooperative, and I think that's Crisis.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's Terraforming Mars. Still one of my favorite games.
It's a great
I
game.
really miss the tabletop simulator version. I really liked the scripted implementation of that.
Oh, nice.
I have a very great scripted version of Terraforming Mars on Tabletop Simulator that I can send you.
I have it.
Oh.
I just haven't played it.
Oh.
That's why I miss it.
Yeah, we haven't played it since
like
COVID.
It's gone, and I was like...
No. I mean, it's probably been gone and put back multiple times at
There's
this point.
a secret Discord for it.
Yes, there absolutely is. Along with Arkham, I believe. But yeah, I really enjoyed the scripted online-ness for Tabletop Simulator for that. I started up Tabletop Simulator when we had our missed card in Clank Legacy.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I liked Tabletop Simulator.
I mean, the Twilight Imperium mod is fucking...
Yes, it was very good. Very, very good.
Yep. Jeff, what have you been playing?
The games.
Let me rephrase that. What have we been playing?
What have I been playing with you?
Yeah.
I did play a game not with you.
Well, I don't care about that.
No. There's a dog in studio.
If the dog is too obnoxious on the audio, would somebody in chat let us know so I can kick that bitch out?
It's female.
Figuratively.
Dog.
She's a female dog.
He's not going to kick a dog. That's all right. Adrian find out Adrian may kick a dog.
Stay tuned next time.
Yeah.
She kicks me all the time. Why can't I kick her back?
Eh.
Laying in bed in the middle of the night and just whap, 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 whap.
That's what you get for letting the dog on the bed. Paul would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have accidentally kicked my cat off of the bed. The thing, though, is that my foot is like the size of her, so it's just...
I mean, it's a cat. It's not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She tried to nuzzle up against a very, very badly sunburned foot. And so it just immediately...
was like, whoa!
Another time, I was pulling the covers over me, and so I did in this punching style motion right into her chest.
No wonder she tries to run into my room in the morning. Just getting beaten up all night.
Anyway, Jeff, you were playing board games?
I was playing Clank with the personal player power, like C team or something like that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This is not the Clank Legacy one,
But they had ones. Yeah, they added those.
Yeah. So it was really neat. It was basically just basic Clank Legacy, but there was another expansion in there that added a little more. It added 5 and 6 player into Clank. That's what it was. We only had 4, so we were playing with regular strength. But the personal, I'm mainly just going to talk about the personal player powers because they were interesting because they each had their own deck. So I was the orc, and it had a like circular track, and every time every time someone defeated the last monster on the trade row, you would get to move the track. And that would get you like one of 2 benefits you could choose from. It's like 1 purchasing power or a money, or heal and 2 money, or draw a card, stuff like that. Didn't happen a lot, but it was interesting. Another one, and of course all the starter decks are different, so you have different cards and things like that are neat. Like the orc got extra attack cards.
Sure. Orcs are violent. Makes sense.
Orc warrior, at least. There was a mage. So the mage got to generate mana that they could pull up, and then they had 3 different spells they could cast. It was like 2, 5, and 7 mana, something like that. That would give them like a lot of really cool abilities. Like they could copy, like for the big powerful one, I think it was you could copy another card text, which was really neat. Another friend played one where their player board had slots on it, and you could fill them with like an artifact. If you remember, like the 3 little monkey like treasures that were on the board, it was
Not at all.
it was like hear no evil, see no evil. But they could slot one of those on there. A dragon egg miner secret could get slotted on there. But if you slotted those on there, you would unlock an additional action you could take with your player cards. It would be like use one of your like unlocked abilities that you would unlock by collecting those things.
Okay.
That would be like scrap a card, draw a card.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. And then there was a really neat one. It was like a mech, and it had a bunch of gears on it. And every time you took damage, you would unlock one of those gears, and it was like 7 unlocks. So you would want to kind of, and those were benefits you would get every turn. It was like plus movement, plus attack, plus purchase power, and you would basically get plus 7 passive icons every round, but you had to take actual damage. So, things are as they are. He took no damage during the entire fucking game. And so he never unlocked anything until the very end, until he was drawing like 4 damage at a time, but you only unlock 1 for that attack. So I got a kick out of that. I ended up making it out like first, and I was like on the fucking line. I think I had 1 health left, and I had to make it that round or I was toast. The mech was yellow, and then that one, they had tons of health. They could do it. They could move 7 fucking spaces around, and they were just cruising all around just to try to get points.
Nice.
I think he ended up dying before he could get up to the top because he got a backpack, and he was like, I'm gonna go get another one.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when you have a bunch of movement. Is you get cocky. You're like, I can just go everywhere, and then you're just like, oh shit.
The mage ended up teleporting behind a locked door and then not be able to get out for like 4 rounds until their teleport came back up again. Because they had a teleport in their starter deck. And then I think I got like 115 to 130 as the person that won. And that was the green, like, unlock slot one. And we didn't play with the cat. The cat apparently is total bullshit, where you have, like, a sword, like, purchase power, and a movement. And every time you use one of those symbols, you can flip over those icons. And when they're all three flipped, you get to just trigger a dragon attack. But any of yours that show up just go back into your supply. They don't actually count as damage. So you trigger an attack that only other people can get damaged on.
Nice.
And my friend was like, we're not playing with this one. It's broken. and I could see why. I'm just going to trigger dragon attacks. I don't get damage, but you sure do. So it was like an extra dragon attack every round, but to you didn't matter. But yeah, that was fun. Played with some coworkers at the brewery, so we were able to just house beers the whole time.
There you go.
It was a good time. I'm gonna start in backwards order because Descent was the one that happened most recently.
2 days ago.
Jealous.
Yesterday. No, 2 days ago. It was Saturday.
Envious.
If only there was some way to warn you that the game was out.
If only you knew.
If only you somehow knew. If only someone messaged you.
Yeah.
If only I had so I did have service when you messaged me. If only I had still had service when I saw your message. We got to the campsite, and like I was done driving, and I pulled up my phone, and I was like, "Oh, motherfucker!"
So we played Descent, Legends of the Dark,
Act 2.
Is there a name for the Act 2?
The Betrayer's War.
Betrayer's War. We played the first mission. Usually we play 2. This first mission was very long.
They really wanted to show you everything that it's about.
Basically had every single new item in the entire game, terrain-wise and mechanic-wise, happen in that very first mission that took 4 hours and 45 minutes with 4 players.
Yep.
Some of them can go pretty long, maybe a couple hours.
Who was your fourth?
Thursby.
That motherfucker. I was supposed to be your fourth who played your bullshit cast-off characters.
Thursby is now that.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but previously you have a really shitty schedule that we do not want to try and work around.
Correct.
I mean, that's fair. I don't want to work around my own schedule.
Yeah, so I mean, he was in our Madara already, so now we're kind of swapping between Madara and Descent every other time, I guess will be the plan.
How much stuff from the base box did it use?
Oh, it uses
a significant amount.
Yeah. Like even
the only thing it doesn't is that definitely all the terrain, definitely the enemies. You get a new model for your character and you use that one. You get new player boards for your characters and you use those. Otherwise, your stuff carries over.
Okay.
Like I use the Act 1 save and then it just continues on. So
we still had all of our unlocks and recipes and everything from Act 1.
Which I remember for me, there was something that had frustrated me at the end of Act 1 where like we had done the mission and we got some unlocks and stuff, but then we weren't able, like if we loaded it, it went back to like before that.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have those.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping when we load this with the save, it's like, oh, hey, you beat it.
So I will say this. I had to go in. It knocked us back to like one of the final things you had to do in the last mission with like the pillar. You had to do like the final one. So I had to redo that. And at that point, that's all we had left to do, I think, at that point. So I just did it. And then it ended. Basically, you have to choose in the app, hey, I've got Betrayers of War. And then restart that save, finish the mission, and then it kicks you to the main map with a event star. And then that star lets you carry on to Act 2.
Gotcha.
You can also just start with Act 2 if you like don't want
things to carry over. And
things
you just
to carry.
start.
Yeah, if you want it, or you just like you haven't played one and you for whatever reason you're like, I just want to do 2. You can,
but you can't buy 2 and play it. It is not a standalone.
It's an expansion. Yeah.
So yeah, we played the first mission. We unlocked a new card for every character that's like a passive, which was cool.
They're called Legends.
Yep. There's multiple legends you get. They are double-sided, and you can only ever choose one side for the rest of the campaign. Let's see. The box is terrain for Act 2.
The box itself?
There's an, you know how like the insert for the Act 1, it had kind of all that brick surface and stuff? Well, there in Act 2, that insert is terrain.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's like a platform that you now also have.
Or a vault that you can have on, like,
Yes.
folding it on the other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It used a lot of new enemies and stuff. In Act 1, the app kept track of like weaknesses and things that your enemies had, but now it's the same enemies with new names. So those weaknesses, you don't know them again, because even though it's the same like rogue model, it's a different rogue. It's not the same rogue, so it has different stuff.
So
that makes sense.
You do have a problem. I do have a problem though when like we're trying to get it. It's like, oh, put in this named character, and you're like, all right, what fucking I can't fucking tell what model that is because I'm using my phone and it doesn't have the best zoom for like looking at the characters when you're setting them up.
You have to like remember what their like art profile is, and they're like, oh yeah, that's that many.
Yep. But one thing that's added. So what difficulty do you play it on?
I do not remember.
Okay, so we played it on heroic, which is like the second.
Well, there was only 2 when we started.
Okay. Well, they added an extra hard one, which I didn't want to deal with.
No, absolutely.
But we're playing with just hard, and that one adds resistances, which basically function like reverse weaknesses. Shocking. So if you're resistant to slashing damage, you do 1 less damage for every success you have. So it was interesting to see that, because then they'll be like, oh, their weakness is piercing, but their resistance to slashing. So you want to deal with it. Like you want to focus more with piercing than, previously it was like, well, I don't get a weakness, but I'm still doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
The resistances will start to cut into that a bit.
Yeah. And it makes everything a little more difficult, which regular Descent wasn't, except for maybe 1 or 2 scenarios.
Yeah.
It was weird in season 1 of it, or Act 1 or whatever it was called. Like there were like 2 missions where we got housed. And then other than that, we like dominated everything.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was usually like activating something at the wrong time where you didn't have any more. And like we did that and it was like, oh, there's like 6 dudes that just jumped down. Well, Paul's going to die.
Oh, it was,
and it's mission over.
Because it was like activating 2 or 3 things that were like, surely activating these things will help us in some way. Nope. No, it was more enemies.
Fuckload of enemies.
Oh, fuck. And they're all surrounding Paul. Great.
It's probably for the
literally
best.
surrounding him.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And which means they were all impeded, which means that they couldn't move and all they could do was attack Paul. So yeah, we played a almost 5-hour game of Descent.
Yep.
Yeah, I really want to get it. Megan and I loved Descent. So much so that like we started Jime after, and it took us a little while to get into Jime because of how good Descent was and how good, like, especially the multi-level terrain
and the app.
And the app.
Yeah, the app's a lot better. In this one.
But we've since gotten into Jime pretty heavy, although like we finished whichever expansion we finished most recently. We finished
Shadowed
it and then we put it
Paths?
away. I think it was Shadowed Paths we finished.
Shadows of War.
And we put it away and had not come back to it since. But Megan, right before her trip, was talking about that she wants to get that table cleared off again and like get it reset up and start playing on the regular. So hopefully that'll happen in the near future. We might hold off on Descent though until we finish Jime.
Understandable.
Especially now that like Jime's complete. Like Jime's just done. So once we finish it, there's nothing else and we can sell it or store it or whatever the fuck we want to do with it.
Indeed. Any other thoughts on Descent?
No, it was still fun.
Yeah.
We got new abilities, but we didn't get a good use out of them. Sirius.
We did get an extra XP from ending Act 1. So because we only had 3 going into at the end of Act 1, and beating Act 1 then unlocked you another. So now we have 4 XP, which is that's a whole extra card.
See, I think that was one of the things, like when you beat it, even in the Act 1, it's like, oh, you leveled up, but then like it doesn't let you have any time after to do that.
Yes.
So,
No.
yeah, I look forward to potentially having 2 level 2s.
What are the main characters you play?
I predominantly played Cyrus and the
your Phoenix now has its own mini.
And the Dragon guy. Yeah, the Phoenix having its own mini is going to be dope.
Thursday was like, nah, this sucks. And then he actually read the rules for it, and it was like, okay, this could be actually useful.
Yeah.
Because it impedes and can take like attacks.
And it can defend really well and shit like that.
And then when it dies, it's a Phoenix. It just like comes back later.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
And there are cards that will let you like do things with it, but at the very beginning, you don't get a lot to do with it. So.
It's also, I'm hoping. So the problem was that I was Varix and Cyrus, and so like those were by far the two biggest fucking minis of the like player minis. Like the other minis all like loosely fit in a space, whereas like Varix is like got his big old
Jeff and I's
arm.
minis are very small. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Helps to be the cat person and dwarf.
Yeah. And then Cyrus had like the big, like the Phoenix was like on like a big thing, like swinging out around him or something. And it was like,
fuck your mini and Mataro.
Yeah.
His character has wings that
like
is
massive wings that are the size of all the spaces adjacent to it.
Great.
Yeah.
So
dope. So yeah, Descent, it was long, but you know, good.
Yeah.
It had fun mechanics the whole way through.
But
and it was a lot of map. Boy, was it a lot of map.
It was so much map. And it's because you get the platform and there are extra like columns and shit. It was like this, felt like this tall. Would you say, Jeff?
Yes, it was like because of that extra lift, they added even larger columns that have another height level to them.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And then those extra tall columns are what they used on top of that platform to kind of show like, this is how big it gets.
And then some tiny ones on top of that too. And then it kept spiraling down.
Certainly more fiddly with trying to get terrain and stuff like on there with like columns attaching to stuff that was already there.
Especially because say we put it like here and then we're like, oh, we need to pull it all over this way.
Yeah, we need to move the whole thing.
To be fair, up until it left the box was very nice to just move the box and it just moved everything.
Yes.
So
yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But shut up, Over. I always wear crew necks. Anyway, the last question I have on Descent before I let you move on. Fuck, I lost it. Move on. Damn it, Over. This is your fault.
Moving on. Kingdom Death Monster. Gambler's Chest.
They finally added it to Scribe, which is the app we use to play. So we had it, but we were like, let's just not do that. Yeah, because we were almost done with our previous campaign, and it wasn't on Scribe all the way yet. So we were like, let's finish that.
Yep.
And then the next session we finished that campaign, which by the way was a fucking blowout.
Yes, it was. Absolutely.
I will say it's official. If you want to do OP characters as like AF, fucking do Bone Dragons because you will be rock stars.
Yes. Because you get so many passive benefits that are super powerful for survival on top of ultra stats of people of the bone.
Yeah.
And we just kind of, you had to do a hunt between each of the end years of the people of the stars.
Stars, yes.
We just skipped all those and did the like steps you needed because it was everything. It didn't matter. We would just stomp whatever we were hunting, and it's not like we had to hunt like level 3 or above. It's not like we had any risk of dying. And we just did the end mission, which was over within 2 rounds at most.
Yeah.
Even with like this weird special like level 3.
Crits?
Oh, pretty much. I mean, we had like 8 luck, which is you crit on basically.
You crit on 2+.
Yeah.
And the only issue was like the dragon has a lot of like reflexes where it will like move away or move you away, and you'll like lose the rest of your attacks. I don't think we even pulled a trap on that one.
I think
did I pull the trap and then I speared it away?
You speared it away. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was spear on like a 7+. You can just be like, nope, didn't happen.
Yeah, but it was nice to just be able to be like, the game knew we wanted to be done with that campaign, so it was like, okay, well, it's over now. You're good.
Yes, it's over. We did not get a game over, so we do not get a notch on our failure track.
Yep.
Which Paul adds to at whim. That gives us benefits for starting new settlements.
Yep.
Because there is like a story event game over when you lose.
Okay.
And then this one had a success as the end, which is not a story event. It's
which
just,
is not game over.
Yes. We actually won.
Yep. So then we started.
So then we sleeved a Kingdom Death Monster Gambler's Chest. There's like 5 new quarries, slash nemesis, a zillion new equipments. Thankfully, Paul bought a new leather-bound book to put all of the new equipment in for all of the new locations and monsters.
Yep.
Those are super nice.
Although apparently basically doubled in price since he last bought it. So
yeah, the book itself, which was weird. There are new like fighting arts and disorders.
There's some additional things, but there's a lot of new things.
yes, Thursby says the great sleeving.
Sleevening.
Sleevening. And then after all of that, we started a new campaign that we did the prologue hunt.
Yeah.
And the first year hunt.
Yes.
We had to look in the rulebook for a lot of stuff because there is a lot of new mechanics. There is a like knowledge mechanic that everyone starts or gets. We were trying to figure out when they get it. It's like a passive that if like X happens to you, you get a check mark on there. And then if you get 2 check marks, you go into the tier 2 of that thing.
You're basically evolving your character
yes.
out in a new way.
And it's usually by like not great things. It's like take severe injuries, mark an X. Take brain traumas, take an X.
It did not go as well for us fighting these base characters with no powers, like normal ass fucking characters. It almost felt weird to be like, well, and it's another miss, and it's another miss. Oh, I hit him, and I didn't succeed at that. Like
yeah, it was a lot of like, oh, well, that was all I did is I missed.
Yeah,
and now it's someone else's turn. We did the new quarry twice, the prologue version, and then the level 1, which is the Crimson Crocodile.
Oh.
Which has a bunch of fucking fingers. Like instead of a spine, imagine fingers like held together. Like
it's like fingers, hands.
Don't like that.
Yeah, and then it's constantly like
making music and like hitting against itself by like the
snapping
fingers.
its knuckles.
Yeah,
and just kind of like constant crackling. Like, but it's also a crocodile.
One of its attacks.
Its first attack that it does every game because it's on the top of the deck. It's like 21,000 Newton bite. It does 21 damage. And we were like, holy fuck, how are we supposed to survive this? But then it has a before attack. As long as you are not deaf, you hear it coming and it does 1 damage instead of 21. But if this attacks someone that's deaf, they're toast.
They're taking a severe injury somewhere. The card is mixed into the deck, but in the prologue, it's on the top.
Yeah. And then it has a hit location that's also always on top.
Yep.
But
one cool thing about the Crimson Crocodile is that if you damage it in certain spots, it gets coagulated hit locations, which means that like a weak spot appears on it, but you have to be in a very specific location. I don't
think it's a weak spot. I think so there's a separate deck of these coagulated locations. And then you like archive the regular location and add like a different location in that can only be hit because it's a 3x3 based on like the specific, you have to be adjacent to that specific blue square to be able to not auto fail hitting it. We did find out range. As long as you're in range, you can hit that spot.
As long as you can path away with range. Yeah.
Yes. So you can't see like through the monster.
Yeah. But it makes sense because we're like, how the fuck does this work?
Yeah, so, yeah. But the card back is different. So if it's on the top of the hit location deck, you can see that location needs that specific hit location. But if you hit like twice and that second one is one of them and you can't, then it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But that location has a lot more downsides if you miss. But if you crit, you get some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it basically makes the like location extra difficult.
Yeah, I would say it's a weak spot, but you have to hit it in a very specific thing, otherwise it's like armor.
Yes.
So,
it was neat. It's a neat mechanic for like the one monster that has it.
Yeah. We didn't have the mini made when we played, but Paul has said he will make it by the next time we play. So it'll be good to actually see it in all its fingery glory.
It was at Gen Con.
Yes.
I have seen it.
Yes,
I saw it
same.
last year and this year.
Yeah.
Um,
It does look appropriately creepy.
yeah.
I mean, so many of the fucking monsters in that game are deeply disturbing.
So do you remember that?
It does feel like they're less dick oriented than previously.
Yes,
That's probably good.
less dicks, more different things.
Yeah.
Like it was all faces and dicks.
Mhm.
Now it's like hand. Well, I mean, there was a lot of
Fingers
hands.
and nuts.
One of the characters is named. It's basically Santa backwards. And it's at like Atana the Child Eater, or
Okay.
Atnas the Child Eater, or
Atlas,
something like
yes.
or
Okay.
something. And he has just a bag of like children that have like dismembered and stuff. And
Great.
yeah. So
You know. Krampus.
yeah.
Do you remember that huge, like 2 foot tall mini model that they had at the booth at Gen Con? It was like right as you were about to go in.
I think so. Yeah.
It was like an angel riding a giant on a ball,
Oh, yeah,
eating
yeah.
endless, like people jumping out of a pit or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's like a quarry. That's going to be something you can fight at some point. And then that was like their like final model for like proof or something like that.
Gotcha. Oh, is it in the Campaigns of Death? Or
Yes.
What okay.
Or it's one of the expansions that they
Right.
also did 7 years ago for.
That one?
Yes. Adrian's taking a closer look.
There's a lot going on in
Yes,
that photo.
that's going to be something you can fight. And yes, there is an absurd amount of. It's like people like escaping hell as like a giant is trying to eat them before they escape, while an angel rides the monster eating them.
Well, and the giant has baby heads for breasts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is definitely taking a bite out of someone.
Yes.
Hell is a giant mouth
Mm-hmm.
that's like upside down, and you can see arms and like bones coming out of its eyes, like out around its eyes and out of its nose hole.
I think it's people trying to escape through its eyes and nose hole.
Yeah,
Because there's people
probably.
like jumping out of the mouth.
All of the
Yeah.
people are naked.
Yes.
I mean, it's Kingdom Death, so almost
Yeah.
everything's naked.
Yes.
But it's not like dicks on columns. Right? It's a little more classier than that.
Yeah, in
Mhm.
fact, the angel, despite being somewhat masculine presenting, doesn't have a dick. It's full Ken status. There are lots of eyes on the wings. You know, very biblical angel.
Yes.
angelic.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Great, cool. That's great.
So we beat the prologue. Only one person died, I think, right? I think someone did die. We are doing our 5-player situation with this. And then we learned a whole bunch of new fucking mechanics. Like the most brutal of which, absolutely top to bottom, is the extinguished guidepost, which means if a character dies on the hunt or the showdown, their equipment is also gone. No more person dying and bringing their equipment back. Like, whatever they had is fucking gone.
Which is rough.
That is super bad. Like, cool. All that, like, really, that, like, moderately equipped character died suddenly. Well, all their shit's gone. Square one.
Well, now that we actually care about equipment again, and we are struggling to have enough gear for anything.
Materials.
Yeah, materials
Yeah.
for any gear. Losing one of them is like, fuck.
Yes. So Paul's character died in the first one, which means even their cloth 1 armor piece, waist armor piece, gone. Founding stone gone. And then there's like a new mechanic called the Scout, which is a 6th character or 5th character if you were playing 4 players. That's kind of like they only have 4 gear slots instead of 9, and like they're kind of like throwaway, but they're also in the mission with you.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of gear called Scout gear that only they can be equipped with. And then if they're like the last person in the mission, they always have this weird smelly backpack. And if everyone else dies, they have like a ripcord on this like smelly backpack that they can pull. And then there's some story event of something that happens if everyone else dies and the Scout is the last one.
Great.
Yeah, we don't really know what that's about.
I hope
Yep.
it's like a extra dimensional bag that's just like filled with babies. Just like 10,000 babies.
So I think the extinguished guidepost is in the scout pack because it was really smelly and they had to like wrap it a lot for it to like not make people like die trying to smell it, being around it because it smelled so bad.
I don't know what that is.
We don't either.
We don't
That's
either.
just the wonders of this fucking expansion. We don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
So Paul decided, so we have a new hunt system. It's when you actually go on the hunt where you're moving along the track and you do random hunt events and then like monster events as you reach the monster per space. Before it was always the cards were just random hunt events and we would just not put those on the spaces because if it was a blank space, it would be a random hunt event.
Instead of a card that just said it's a random hunt event.
Yes.
So
but now we have cards that are like a scout event. And this campaign is like we're Ark survivors instead of people of the stars. We're people of the dreams.
mm-hmm.
So now we have random. Basically, there's 2 new hunt tables you can get if you get these cards randomly drawn when you do the hunt. Paul made the executive decision to make sure both of those cards were the random hunt events that we got. The first one totally fucked us, and the second one killed Paul.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
yes. And it was like, it wasn't like, it was like a 1, 2, 3, you're dead.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, cool. There's a 30% chance that you just die by doing this event. And since we didn't have any, we don't have our principals or newborns or anything like that yet. We didn't have any rerolls or anything. It's like, okay, so Paul died on the hunt, and now we're down to 4 people and the scout.
Yeah.
Great.
Paul has both of Paul's characters that he has played so far have died.
Except for the scout, because he was the one playing the scout.
He did play the scout. The scout's kind of like in between players. Like anyone can play him. It's just sort of, just put him somewhere, and that's like it doesn't. You never go clockwise in it. You just take turns in whatever order you wish. Anyways. Yeah. And then we fought the Crimson Crocodile again with like a dagger and founding stones and fist and tooth because some people threw their founding stone and now they have no weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah. We defeated it finally, but it was not easy. It was quite difficult. And then we discovered a little bit more. There's principles. Is that what they were? Is that what you start with? Principles?
No, it was knowledge and something. Principles are things that you are like. Principles were already in the game. I don't remember what they're called though.
Oh yeah. That's like your turmoil stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, you have like what you are as a person, and then we have knowledge, which we unlocked, which are these cool little books that are like a whole separate XP track that have bonuses and negatives, and the more you get those up, you get like totally wild like benefits.
There's now a tracking system for attacking unique enemies that as it increases you get like access to other bonuses and stuff like that. So it actually incentivizes you to hunt new things. So
yeah, it's like collective consciousness or something. Like
collective cognition.
Cognition, yes. And that's like the more different levels you do of each monster, the more cognition you get, the more... it seems like it has a lot to do with cooking and like plating and eating and stuff. Because that's the whole reason you're hunting stuff down is to make items and eat food. It seems really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait until the like campaigns of death, which will be another 6 years or something like that. But yes, that is Kingdom Death Monster.
Yep.
Like the prologue and Hunt 1 of the Gambler's Chest.
All right, Adrian, what about you?
Oh boy. God, I don't remember anything that I played in the 2 weeks prior to this most recent one.
You can just say the one game you've played.
Yeah. So the one main game, the only game,
don't take all the time, Adrian, really just
okay now. I just sat here and listened to like 30 minutes of Kingdom Death.
Yeah. Because that's content.
That's 18. It was 18 minutes.
Oh, okay. So game night this past Wednesday at Strange, we played La in the Boyd pronunciation, La Famiglia. And so this is a heavy-ish, medium-heavy area control team-based competitive game. So basically,
versus team,
yeah. So 4-player game. It's you and your teammate who's on the same side of the table as you versus the people across the table from you. It takes place on like Sicily, I think it is. One of the Italian islands, and you're mobsters waging war over control of the island.
Different families?
Different families, correct. So, basically, the game, I really liked this mechanism. I thought it was really clever. So the game plays out in basically 2 phases. There's like the planning phase and then like the resolving phase, essentially. They definitely have different names than that, but Paul didn't say them and I didn't care. But during the planning phase, there's
if Paul didn't say them, they probably actually have a real important use, and you probably were playing it wrong because you only read about half of it. I'm assuming.
I would not be surprised.
Okay.
But there's a grid up at the top where you start out seeding some discs, and so there's 2 for every player color, and then there's a handful of like gray discs. And so on your turn, you take a disc from that top area and you move it down to one of the actions and you place it and you take the action. If you move your disc or a neutral disc, it's free. If you move somebody else's disc, you pay them a money. So there's like an interesting incentive there where everybody's like the first ones that everybody uses the neutrals to start with.
Yeah.
Because in theory, you want other people to move yours so you can get some money. So like you get down to once all the neutrals are gone, it's that like, okay, do I pay a money to move somebody else hoping that mine will get moved? Or do I move mine now and then just know that I'm going to have to pay for any other actions I want to take, as this action phase continues. The actions that you're taking are all kinds of different things. They can get you resources. Like some of them are ways to get money where like you get straight money and then like you activate all of your like the drug houses you control, which are like a little like a little piece on the map, and you can control them and they earn you money. There's ones that let you place down orders, which are you have a bunch of tiles behind your little hidden player screen that are orders that you can put in an area that tells like that area that it's going to do something during that resolution phase. Like they're going to attack or they're going to move or, you're going to build a drug lab or whatever. Their orders are basically divided into 2 types. There's like action ones that are like the attacking or doing damage or moving or whatever. And then there's like support ones. And the support ones give you like armor and protection against attacks, or they let you like get more income, either in the terms of extra like people that you can then place out later, or in the terms of money or whatever. So once all the discs have been placed, then like the area where you're placing them, it just slides up and that becomes the new pile of them. And there's like an additional like super action you could take where like you pay based on all of the discs in a column to do like the above action, and it gets more expensive as the game goes on. So there's also like a timing thing there too, where like as you're taking discs from a particular column, you're making it cheaper and cheaper for someone to do that super column action. So there's kind of a balance there. The turn order is like alternates, like their team, your team, their team, your team. So like if you're trying to time it like, okay, if I make it a little bit cheaper here, I don't think, Zach, who's across the table from me, can afford it, but hopefully my partner, Paul, can.
So do you mean it in the sense of like, say you and Jester are on a team, Jeff and I were on a team.
Sure.
I would go, then you would go, then Jeff would go, then Jester would go?
Correct.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's like a specific rotation, and the board has like it printed out like it's like Jeff, Paul, or well, Jeff, me, I guess if this is the case, Jester's over here on my right. So it'd be Jeff, me, you, Jester. And there's like arrows on the board.
Okay, gotcha.
That point at which player goes next.
Okay.
The area control thing, basically, there's a bunch of different regions, and then each region is like 3 spaces. A space can only ever have 1 group in it, and then whoever controls the majority of the spaces, so 2 out of the 3, they control the region.
Right.
And the game goes until either 1 player controls 5 or 1 team controls 6, whichever happens first.
Okay.
And then I guess presumably at the very end, like the game can end if no one gets to it. It ends after 4 rounds, and on that 4th round, it's just whoever controls the most. I don't know. Paul and I lost to Eric and Ryan to control. We made a big push at like the end of round 2.
Okay. My classic mistake in a lot of area control games is I push because it's like, oh, the game's going to end with this, and then it goes 1 round longer, and then it's just like, oh no, and then everything collapses. Is that what happened with you guys?
Basically. Yeah. So Paul and I, we thought we were in a position where we were going to end up with like 7 or 8 control, which you only need 6 between a team. So we thought we had it like, even if we fail a couple, we've got cushion. Unfortunately, Eric and Ryan
did a little too much pushing.
Well, so, and even at one point, Paul quipped about like, yeah, I mean, it's not really fair. We're just playing Eric twice because he's telling Ryan what to do for everything. But yeah,
you guys were at a disadvantage then if you're playing 2 Erics.
yeah, basically. They had higher initiative on their orders, and several of their first orders, like their first like 3 orders, knocked out like 2 of Paul's and 1 of mine. And so then like, because like if you take over a space with an order, that order just goes away. And so Paul and I like had spent actions and things like placing these orders, and then lost like 3 of them like out of like before we ever got even activated.
Right.
So we definitely kind of, both teams went for 2 slightly different strategies. Theirs proved it was definitely a better strategy. Well, it was the winning strategy. So like in that game in particular, it was the better strategy. We were close, really close to like kind of coming out on top. There is an element of, it's not random by definition, but it's like kind of a functional randomness. When you go to attack an area, like with your troops, if you want to go try to conquer them, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can do a finesse takeover or a brute force takeover. A brute force takeover, you kill immediately 2 of your attackers that you're attacking with, and then starting with your troops, you remove 1 alternating from each army.
Okay.
And whoever is left with troops wins. So basically, you need to have like +4 on them to, I think +3 you can maybe get away with it, but you need like a decent amount more than them, and you're sacrificing a lot of people to do that. The other option is a finesse option, and so for that there are 3 cards that each player has. They're the exact same 3 cards, and you each play 1 blind, and then starting with the attacker, you can choose to take your opponent's card and put it in your hand, and then they get a chance to choose to take your card and put it into their hand, or leave it where it is. The 3 cards are, card number 1 is kill 1 of your troops. Card number 2 is kill 2 of your troops. Card number 3 is one of your enemy's troops becomes one of your troops. So if you take somebody's card and it's the kill 2, well, now you're killing 2 of your troops. If you take somebody's card and it's the swap, well, now one of theirs is going to swap.
Yeah.
So there's like this mind game of like, do I take it or do I not? And like the same thing when you're playing it, it's like, do I think they're going to take my card or not? Yeah. Paul and I lost every instance of that happened. Every instance. We never once came out on top of the finessing. Eric is Eric.
King of the finesse.
Yeah. He read Paul and I like the open books that we were.
Yeah.
And it did not ever work. It was like routinely stuff like we could have just brute forced, and then we were like, no, we'll finesse. Like, that way we save some extra troops. And then it would be like, yeah, I'll take your card. And it was the kill 2. And he's like, I'm not going to take your card. And it was the kill 2. It's like, cool, I kill 4. And then at that point, once you've resolved the cards, then you go back to that, like 1 from the attacker, 1 from the loser, until somebody is the only one left.
Yeah.
And like, if you lose 4 out the top, it's hard to win.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. You just got to become Texan. Just don't read any open books. Like
clearly,
Bud said.
Clearly, books are bad.
Yep.
So,
but did you like it? With the caveat of you don't like area control games.
Yeah. So this was probably the most fun I've had with an area control game overall. I was really enjoying it.
How much of it was just that Paul was on your team versus not being against him?
So I'm not sure whether it was better or worse, because at the point we didn't win, Paul turned on me hard and was just blaming me for everything, which has continued in Discord. He's at least come around to where like he kind of does it like, I kid.
Yeah.
But he was like bitching going into the final round that I controlled no territories. I was like, yeah, we went all out and I lost 3 of 4. I have 1 left. Like, yeah, it sucked. like that wasn't the plan. Like, I had more. We were close to 6. We had like 4 or 5 in that round. We made the big push. And I did a lot. My team, the way I kind of got my skills, I had this like ability where I could do dynamite attacks. So there's like two types of attacks. So there's like, you know, you're like drive by, like attacking, gutting them, like shooting them. And that's like what you do to take somebody over. Or you can just bomb them. If you don't want to take it over, you just want to kill a bunch of their dudes.
Right.
My guys are really good at bombings. So I had an ability to let me bomb like 1 space further away. So I could bomb like a range of 2, which is a huge amount of space to cover. And then I really maxed out one of my tracks on there. Like, you have like different tracks for different things. There's a whole lot that goes into this game. It's pretty heavy. But I had maxed out like my attacking track. So like anytime I attacked with a car, which regardless of which type of attack it was, I got a significant bonus. But I was like doing like 8 damage with a car bomb. So I'd like build a car, and then anywhere I built a car, it was just like oh fuck, Adrian can do 8 damage in a like giant range around that. And we don't know where he's going to.
Right.
And there were several times I used that to clear out areas or like help Paul take things over. So like in that final round where Paul had like 3 and I had like 1.
Yeah.
And he was talking a lot of shit.
You helped him get
it was like, dude, I helped
you
get there. Like I have been sacrificing for the team, and every time you do a car bomb, like it's a car bomb, you'll lose the car.
Right.
So it's like I'm spending actions to get cars, then I'm blowing them up to help the team.
Yeah.
Eric showed a thing of his like smartwatch, his pulse throughout the game just steadily rising. So I had fun with it. I would definitely be interested to play again. I don't know if I want to play against Paul or with Paul. I'm not sure which is the better place to have Paul. Because if you win and Paul's on your team, great. If you lose and Paul's on your team, you're fucked.
It sounds like you just want Eric on your team instead.
So we were going to game night, and like we were all kind of running various amounts of behind, and Ryan quipped like, whoever's last has to play with Eric. And then I got there and I was like, what the fuck? I thought I was supposed to play with Eric. I've been sitting in my car for 20 minutes. So yeah. I would definitely play it again.
Okay, good to know.
I mean, area control is definitely not my favorite. Mostly just because I fucking suck at area control. It's one of those genres that I've just never been able to really do good at.
Gotcha.
I peak too early. I get too excited. I take over a bunch of space and then nothing.
Gotcha.
But I would give it a shot again.
Cool.
The other thing that I did play that I remembered, I went on a camping trip with Megan, and we remembered to take games. And so we played the Crew Deep Sea, 2-player variant with like the
third player one.
The third player that's like the couple rows. We played like just 3 or 4 missions while we were like getting ready to leave in the morning. And it was solidly fun. I really enjoyed it.
I think that it has like a good 2-player variant of using a third I like that when I've played that.
Yeah. I can see how it could be trickier to try and solve some puzzles because you know some of the cards that the other person has, but not all of them. And yeah, it was a good mix. We'll see how it goes. We're gonna keep that one like lives now in the truck for camping, so we don't.
Understandable.
We went out to the Palisade Peach Festival a little while back, which I guess is just gonna be a smooth transition into Banter.
Yep.
So I don't think anybody else has any other games to talk about.
Nope.
Yeah, so we went to the Palisade Peach Festival a couple weeks back, which is a peach festival out in Palisade, Colorado. It's where Palisade peaches are from, if you've heard of them.
What?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. Also that there's like a bunch of like wine vineyards out there too.
Yeah, it's like Colorado's wine country.
Yeah, I would not think that's where it would be. Like on the other side of the mountains next to Utah.
Apparently, like that's like the dry side, and like so like wine.
Yeah.
Like grapevines really like that kind of dry, hot, deserty environment. I don't know. It's good for them. Or good for wine grapes. Crazy. We got out there and we were doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm not going to talk about everything that went on.
That is near the Bobert area. It's a little past Bobert area.
I mean, well, with the redistricting, I think the entire western side of the state is the Bobert area.
Oh, is it?
Or is it the southern?
I think it's the western and southern.
Like almost half of the state is Bobert land.
But like prime land, that's Rifle, Colorado, because that's where
that's where her Shooter's Grill used to be. It went out of business.
Weird.
Yeah, weird. Anyway, we shockingly didn't take any games, and so they're like, the Peach Festival was okay. If you live in Colorado, do it once. Plan on heading out there, check it out once. It's kind of interesting. I don't think we'll ever do it again. And it would get to a point where we'd be sitting around like just kind of at the festival, like listening to music and stuff. It's like, man, it sure wish we had like a card game. Like, I don't know what, like this is like the only trip we've ever taken where we brought no board games. So we drove to the next town over to Gunnison and went to a board game store out there. It's a really nice little board game store.
Oh, nice.
I don't remember what it was called. I should have looked it up. It's the only board game store in fucking Grand Junction, so it's not hard to find. But it was a cute little store. Had a bunch of games and stuff. They had like a nice little like store area in front, and they had a bunch of tables in the back that were full of nerds playing games.
Nice. Did they know what more than a 6-sided die was?
They did.
Oh,
That's
wow.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, and like the people playing,
So they're
like,
better. They're better than Winter
Park.
Park.
Is that Frisco?
oh,
Frisco.
Or,
Yeah.
Fraser?
Fraser. That's what it was. Fraser. Yeah.
No, we did not offer. Boyd's trying to make us talk about Beetlejuicing, but I'm refusing. So over there, we bought a new copy of Hanabi because Jester had chewed up. We had it in a cool leather case, and then Jester thought leather is great fun to chew on, so she destroyed the copy
Is that the
of
case
Hanabi.
you got from
Morocco?
Yeah.
Yep. They're meant to be like cigarette pack holders because everybody fucking smokes in Morocco.
Yeah.
Turns out they hold like a deck of cards. Great.
That deck of cards because they're thin cards.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
the Hanabi card. Well, no,
They're a little thin.
are they a little
Yeah.
thinner? I don't know. Well, they worked great for Hanabi at least. And so we bought a new copy of Hanabi, and we bought a deck of cards to just live in the glove box of the truck. And I think I'm going to throw the crew in there because I've been bringing it to game night, but anytime that we end up playing it, we're almost always playing like Paul's copy or something. Like I haven't got to play my copy much. So I think I'm just leave it in the truck so that I always have Hanabi, the crew, and a deck of cards in the truck.
That's right. I've got that quiver just
Yeah.
full of all those games. They live in my car. So yeah.
But yeah, Palisade Peach Fest was pretty dope. We ended up we bailed on the Peach Fest and mostly checked out like the Colorado wine country. We went to 2 different wineries, had a bunch of really good wine. We bought 3 bottles of wine.
You had a disappointing.
We had a disappointing meal. We went to a $130 a person, $120 a person, something like that, per person, 4-course farm to table dinner put on by the Palisade Chamber of Commerce. It was a goddamn disaster. I don't want to go this is one of those things I could tell like a solid 15-20 minute story. I'm not going to because there's other banter and other shit we got to do. But basically every course was missing a key object. Like in the first course, it was little finger foods, and one of them was a ricotta, a lemon ricotta ball. There was not even a hint of lemon. It was less lemon than is in a lemon LaCroix. They were really embracing that style.
They took that ricotta ball, had it look at a LaCroix, a lemon LaCroix, and then they're that's good enough.
The chef had an unopened lemon LaCroix in the kitchen where they were made.
Yep.
The second course was the salad course, and it was a
caprese salad.
It was a peach caprese salad.
Yeah.
And it even said on the menu with mozzarella. There was no mozzarella, there was no tomato, and there was only barely the slightest hint of a honey vinaigrette. It was just mostly basil and mint and 3 chunks of peach. So it was a very dry salad, except for the very juicy fresh peach. The next course was a chicken course, and it was fine because it's hard to fuck up chicken. But it was supposed to be a brown butter reduction. There was no hint of that. It was supposed to be purple cauliflower, bed, and it was just regular ass cauliflower. And there was something else kind of weird.
I'm curious. I would like to know the behind the scenes of how it got fucked up so badly.
I don't know who to blame. So the venue itself was fine, and the catering staff was fine. The kitchen, the catering company, I don't know if they fucked up on their end or it was put on by a CBD company who had all this literature scattered on the tables about the magic of CBD creams and shit. And they seemed like they weren't prepared either. At one point between the main course and the desserts, they did this little raffle. They'd given you tickets at when you were in line. And they didn't have any kind of audio projection. They didn't have a microphone. They didn't have a loudspeaker. They didn't even have a rolled up cardboard tube
Mhm.
to shout through, and neither one of the people was at all comfortable with public speaking. Like they just gave off that vibe that they didn't want to be in front of anybody speaking. Like somebody was like, "Hey, speak up," and he's like, "I don't want to yell." And another person in a different back corner was like, "It's not yelling, it's projecting." And like the whole room just laughs at them. I borderline felt bad, but it had been such a shit
It
experience.
sounds like the Chamber of Commerce had probably the chefs drop out of the last second, or they probably were like, "Nah, we're actually going to pay you way less," and then they were like, "Nah, well, we're just not going to show up," and they just found someone to like make food.
Well, and that's the thing is I don't know, like it was presented by the Chamber of Commerce, but like I don't know like if the CBD company like hosting it like went to the Chamber of Commerce like, we want to do this event, and the Chamber of Commerce just approved it and then put it on for the event. We ended up getting full refunds. The chamber, like I got back from the trip over the weekend. On Monday morning, I woke up to an email from the Palisade Chamber of Commerce that was like, "We've been running these events for like 6 years. We've never had something like this happen. We're deeply sorry. We're issuing full refunds."
That's good.
Like, so we ended up getting out of there. We took a bottle of wine at the end because like one of the, like I said, the catering staff were badass. They were like, "Hey, we got a bunch of extra wine that nobody drank." It's like, well, because it's pretty mediocre wine, but sure, we'll take a free bottle.
Still 14%, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah,
Whatever.
we took when we got in line for the cocktails, which you had to pay for at this $120 a ticket meal, you still had to pay for cocktails. We got there early enough that our first cocktails were in glasses. Everybody else got them in like plastic cups after. We kept our glasses. And then we took our wine glasses that were on the table. So we made out with 4 glasses and a bottle of wine, and then we got a full refund. And we got a great story and it was still fun. The next night we went to, I'm not sure how they mean for it to be pronounced. It's peach, but it's like Peche with like the carrot exclamation point, like accent over the top. So I don't know if it's like supposed to be like pêche or peach or like what.
Peachy.
It was like legit one of the nicest restaurants I've ever eaten in. I like when we walked by it the very first day we got there, we're like, haha, look at Palisade with their cute little pretend fancy restaurant. And then people were raving about it at one of the wineries, and we were like, fuck. They said it was really good. Let's see if we can get some tickets. So we went there, or if we can get some seats, we went there Friday or Saturday. And I was like, hey, like right when they opened, went in and was like, hey, it's Saturday, it's Peach Festival. I understand completely if like there's zero chance, but is there a chance you guys can seat 2 people? Like, yeah, like we get it. If not, like whatever. And she's like, actually, yeah, I think we could squeeze you in. And so they squeezed us in, and it was an amazing meal.
Nice.
Like, especially coming from the Friday disaster farmed dinner.
What would you compare price wise for?
They were similar prices.
Okay, all right, okay.
They were similar prices.
Okay.
The farm to table was technically more expensive, but then we got the full refund. So, but yeah, it was still like we got drinks, appetizer, main course, dessert. So we like almost did the same like 4-course kind of a thing, and it was a very nice restaurant. I had like a really nice steak that like it came out on this like special box that they had like active embers with like sage bundles and then like a grill over it, and the steak was on that. So the whole time I'm eating, like the sage is still smoking up through the meat. Megan got this like whitefish dish that was like whitefish prepared like 4 different ways. That was like a journey across Southeast Asia. Like they had like one that was like a Thai dish, one that was like a Japanese like kind of dish, and then there was like one other way that they prepared it, and it came with like a what's the fucking coconut drink?
Mai Tai.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
In a coconut shell, in a baggie, like it was like a baggie with a straw, like rubber banded inside of it in a coconut shell. And the lady was like, we find that some people, the Thai dish is too hot. So this is here to help, mellow out that taste and everything, which the Thai dish, like it had some spice to it, but like it was not hot. I mean, I assume in Palisade, maybe, it's Bobert territory. Yeah. They're not used to spices out there. It's like, whoa, you put more than salt?
Pepper. Can't do pepper.
Yeah.
But no, it was fantastic. Really great. Highly recommend if you're ever on the Western Slope. Check out Peach if you want to, you could get out of there for way less than the like $240 that we were in there for, roughly like 200-ish. But that's because we kind of went all out, and like I said, got a little bit of everything. Yeah, we got like 2 of the most expensive items on the menu, but very, very, very good.
Nice.
So
Could you bring in your own bottle of wine?
Yeah, I don't know if you could. We did not inquire about a corkage fee. It might have been a daiquiri. No, I don't think it was a daiquiri. I don't know if it was a Mai Tai.
Pina colada.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
last thing, and then I'm just done with camping adventure stories. There's other banter. I'm sure I'll loop back in. We went camping this past weekend. I cooked a fantastic steak on our backcountry setup. Made a like no food processor chimichurri, and then some like summer squash, and it was very nice. And that's all I just wanted to brag on my awesome meal I cooked.
Gotcha. I wanted to speak of quality that I just watched recently, and that was Fast 10. Fast X.
God, that fucking movie.
There's only two good things I can say about it, and they both involve the name Jason.
Jason Statham.
I always love a good action scene with him. He's very physical in a great way. Like, and the director of this one, because Justin Lin dropped out because of Vin Diesel, he did the Transporter. So like they'd work together, but like he can direct Jason Statham well. Yeah,
I didn't know that, but that makes sense.
Second one is Jason Momoa just looked like he was having a ball, and I just felt good for him that he's just like, you look like you're having a great time, and I'm here for it.
Did he have weapons?
There were times when he like basically they were like, what if we put the Joker in the Fast and Furious?
But did he have his own custom melee weapons?
No.
Okay, that's one of his favorite things. That he loves. He loves the trident from Aquaman. He loves his weird bone daggers from C. He just loves people making him weapons for his characters. And I was hoping that he would have his weird custom weapon fetish fulfilled.
He had knives. I mean, he
was probably really happy about those knives.
He, like, honestly, anytime he was on the screen, I was actually actively enjoying the movie because he just does such a great job in that. But in the same sense of the Joker, he has unlimited time, funds, unlimited bad guys to help him do whatever the fuck he wanted. And anytime something happens, he's like, "Oh, I planned for this." Now, a helicopter comes out of nowhere and shoots the person that was just pointing their gun at me, and now he instantly has all the power again. But he was having fun, but then anytime he wasn't on the screen or Jason Statham wasn't on the screen, I was just like. It was a struggle, and they continue to do fucking Fast and Furious. It continues to be a soap opera for muscleheads because it's just like, especially at the end, more reveals of shit that you're like, of course that happens.
Of course. Why not?
Why not? Death means nothing in this, except for the one person you see gets shot in the face. Other than that, if they don't die on screen, I'm sure they're coming back.
Even if they do. I mean...
I'm pretty sure Han died on screen.
No, it like cut away. It cut back. And then you just see explosion. You don't get to see his face like burn, so you know that he's alive.
Yes.
Obviously.
It is... Like, I don't think I will ever spend money to watch a Fast movie again. I think I have in the past. But I have paid
money to watch Hobbs and Shaw.
I own 1 through 8 on 4K Blu-ray.
Jesus.
Just want to let you know.
Why do you do that to yourself?
It was probably a good deal.
It was a good deal. And then, you know what? Look, 5 is legitimately a good movie. And then 1 is a good movie.
Yeah.
And for its time. And then the other movies are movies.
It's just...
They're technically movies.
It is wild to me to go back to 1 and think about the fact that it was like, by Fast and the Furious standards, a relatively grounded crime movie, action crime movie.
Vin Diesel lifts up a car in this movie.
Yeah.
With one hand.
They're increasingly just fucking superheroes.
Yeah.
Was it 9, I think, that had the two guys having the conversation about like how they never die and they're in all these stupid situations?
They went to space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 9.
They did go to space, yeah.
Yeah, they basically addressed
I will say
kind of that.
This is more grounded in some respects than 8 and 9 in the sense of it doesn't have or 6 in that it has like 6 has like a 150-mile long runway, however long, because there's the plane trying to go off.
How long it
the
scene was.
8 has the like them outrunning submarines and shit. 9, they're going to space
and the magnet bullshit
and
from 9.
Exactly.
Jesus fuck.
I mean, could a car outrun a submarine? I don't know how fast a nautical mile is.
I think that at top speed, a car would have trouble outrunning a submarine. but a submarine is not going top speed that close to
Yeah.
an ice surface and not through ice, and like it takes longer for a sub to get to top speed than a
Yeah.
car. So like if you're starting from 0 as a drag race,
Also, these weren't necessarily cars that were like, we made these cars purposely for driving on ice, ice beds. It's not, But besides that, whatever, it's fine. This is 100% like, part 1 of 2, possibly 3 from what I've maybe heard. We'll see.
great.
But it is
Assuming Vin Diesel doesn't piss off more people.
Well, yeah, we'll see. So you know how like The Rock, he was in 8, and then he didn't come back for 9, or he wasn't in 10. He had its own side project or side movie, which didn't do that great.
He was like back on wrestling recently.
Yeah. Well, that's because of the whole writing strike thing.
Oh,
But
yes.
he was really. I'm sure he was putting a lot of his bets on the new.
Black Adam.
Yeah, Black Hour. Yeah, changing the power, the power structure.
Speaking of Jason Momoa having fun, the post-credit scene in The Flash with Jason Momoa was kind of fun.
Okay.
Nice. I still need to see that at some point. Yeah.
You can take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
It will be whenever I am subscribed again to Max, the place to watch for HBO. The one to watch for HBO. Such a dumb title. I'll probably watch it then, but I'm not going out of my way for it.
Yeah, that's where I watched it. It comes with my cell phone plan. That's the only reason I have it. And John Oliver, who was also on strike.
Yeah, I know.
But is also part of the Strike Force 5
Yes.
podcast that I've been listening to.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I don't have time for new podcasts.
Yeah,
They're well, I have a commute enough, always time for podcasts.
My problem is that I had like 3 or 4 podcasts that I listened to, but then the 2 main ones I did were like, we're doing side podcasts that were basically the length of the other podcasts.
We've never done that.
Yeah. And so it was like, well, now each, like, this is like 7 or 8 hours just devoted to these 2 podcasts. And if I don't.
I've culled a lot of podcasts in the last year.
That's what I've done.
It's just been like, I can't listen to these anymore. I'm
Yeah.
going to listen to the ones that I really like, and that's going to be it.
Yep.
I might add I'm currently listening to Behind the Bastards. I might add a new podcast when I get caught up because they've got a massive backlog that I'm working through. Once I get through that, I might add a new podcast or 2.
Yeah. That's Fast 10.
Yeah.
It was something.
Yeah.
Also, there was a lot of bad CGI in that movie. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
There was a lot of it. I was like, is this fucking a PS3 graphic that I'm watching? Especially the physics of watching a car go downstairs just looked so wrong with how they did it. It looked like it was glued to the stairs. Like, and as soon as the stair, the tire left one stair, it was just like, it's immediately on another one, and immediately on another one, immediately on another one. It was not good.
No.
Clipping through the stairs.
That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
It was, God, yeah, it was a bad movie. Bad movie.
Yeah.
What do you have for banter, Jeff? Oh,
I was just gonna say I do have one good thing that I watched, but it was the One Piece live action.
I've heard good things.
Definitely the best live action anime adaptation.
They've never done. They did. Cowboy Bebop was a series,
and that was garbage. I
That
watched
was
one
garbage.
episode and I was like, no,
Yes.
thank you.
I think a lot of people said no thank you to Cowboy Bebop.
They did take different creative decisions
Yes.
to make it into like more than one season, and there was a couple of good spots in there,
Uh-huh.
but yes, it was bad, and
Yep.
the ending was holy hot shit garbage.
I'm surprised you made it that far.
I did.
Yeah.
One Piece is good.
Yeah. And it was at one point it was #1 on Netflix in like 70 something countries too.
Nice.
So
Well, we'll see another season in like, I don't know, 2-3 years.
yes. It did get
Maybe.
renewed. It did get renewed for season 2.
Wow.
It just,
Netflix renewed something.
I know. Shocking.
Well, no, season 2, lots of Netflix shows get season 2. Season 3, some get
There's a
season
lot of
3.
Netflix shows that don't get season 2.
No Netflix show gets season 4 that's not Stranger Things.
This had a budget of about 17 million an episode, I think. So
That seems like cheap for Netflix.
but they actually went all out with physical sets, which is, I mean, obviously
Practical
there's a lot of CGI in it. The main guy is a rubber man, so obviously there's a lot of CGI in this. But the physical locations are actually physical, which is good.
Practical.
I don't know
practical
why
thinking.
I expected anything different. That the main character is Rubber Man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
He's got the power.
It's literally, it's episode 1.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
They're only like 90-second episodes, so
These are an hour-long episodes at least. So it's
Is the anime like 90-second episodes?
Animes are not general. I mean, you got to cut out the 15 minutes for the first credits. You got to cut out 15 minutes for the final credits, and you got at least 6 minutes of actual content in that episode.
there are 1,050 something episodes. Just to let you know.
I mean, I wasn't gonna watch it anyway because I don't really watch anime. But
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Yes, it's too much.
That's all I got.
Jeff better get cracking before I start just talking about BG3 again.
Yes. For how like middle of the road, milk toast, vanilla paste, Soylent Green, bland.
Is Soylent Green bland?
It tastes like people.
It varies from person to person.
For how bland Starfield is, I sure have put in like 35 hours into that game.
I am excited to switch over to Starfield once I'm done with BG3
Yeah.
as a palate cleanser because I think it's going to serve as a great palate cleanser. Like
Palate cleanser, just sort of like, what if you just stopped being able to taste?
well, I mean that's like the idea. Like most palate cleansers are very bland. They kind of like reset you to a zero.
Yeah, but what if you could never taste again?
I don't think that's going to be the case.
It's definitely the everyman game.
I played like an hour-ish, enough to get to the first spaceship.
Okay.
And do
Game
like the
Pass, I'm
first
assuming?
space, and do the first space combat, and it was fine
Yes, that is the game.
It's
The
fine.
game is fine.
I've heard it gets better.
after 12 hours.
Yeah, or something like that.
I
but
don't. There, you unlock things in there that you need to mainline the main story, which is like even fairly early on in the main story, and then it has like even more shit. You get sidetracked by all the 7,000 side quests.
that's unusual for Bethesda game.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, hey, there's this major mechanic you unlock a couple hours into the main story that you should probably do, and then go and do whatever bullshit you want.
Kind of did that in Fallout 4, where it was like you had to play a weirdly long time to unlock like building your colonies and shit.
Yeah, and then I mean you can build outposts in this and stuff. Yeah, it's a game and it's enjoyable, and I can just kind of like play it
Yeah.
endlessly.
I'm glad it's on Game Pass.
Totally.
So I can
sure
get
they're
a
making a fuckload
solid
of money
amount of
with-
time played
Yep.
with it.
You can just play that fucking game.
Yep. I was almost certainly going to buy it eventually anyway, unless it just got dog shit reviews, which it hasn't.
It's gotten pretty good reviews for it being. Do you like Bethesda games? Here it is.
The biggest thing that hurts it is legitimately, like I was saying, like I've got Baldur's Gate 3 right now, which like I just finished Act 2 and like
Ooh, you're in Act 3. Nice.
fuck. Like every
What level are you?
I hit so it's great because I got to cheese the fuck out of this. So as you're at the end of Act 2 and you're in the below area,
Uh-huh.
You're in the
And
point
you-
of no return.
and you go down
Act
the
2.
Yeah.
thing to the final fight
Yeah.
down there. 2 of my characters leveled up as I did that, and then one of them stealthed and triggered like a cutscene and then killed a guy, and the other 2 leveled, and like so I was able to level the 2 to
Uh-huh.
level 10
Yeah.
right before the fight. They killed one guy, the other 2 were like crouched and hidden out of combat,
Yeah.
so they leveled up, so I was able to level them
Oh,
up
nice.
to level 10 before the fight.
Nice.
So that fight was an intense fight. It's a cool fight. Loved so much of the cutscene that went on there. But as if you're level 10 doing that fight, it's not particularly challenging.
You're a
we-
little lower than that.
we cheesed the fuck out of that fight. It was very funny.
I used-
Fighters have a disarm attack. And I can disarm.
Multiple things that you saw.
Yeah.
Oh. So
One of them he could grab. The other one just went.
Well,
right
the
in
other
a
one
hole.
disappeared.
Right in a
but,
hole.
the one that disappeared, I'm sure I know what that was.
Yeah.
That thing got one attack before we
Oh yeah.
killed it.
I had one of
also, I have the mace from the
Yep. So does one of my people.
and then
Yeah.
I jumped 20 feet to the pile of undead and was like, well, pop, 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 pop,
Yep.
and you're all gone.
Yeah.
Since I'm on a solo game, I've got like the normal companion. So that Karlak jumped like 20 feet
Mhm.
and then used one of her swipe attacks. And it was just like those guys are all dead now.
One.
Apparently, that's a main mechanic in that fight. Like,
Sure.
like the undead there are like charges or something like that.
Yeah.
There's an achievement if you do something.
Which
that
we sure
involves-
got that.
Yeah, we
Yep.
did.
Cool.
One of my abilities too is I had 2 rings that were like when I have when I'm have a light source on me.
Yep, I know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that it can get -1 to their attack, and I have I'm a sorcerer warlock, and so I do Eldritch Blast, hitting them multiple times, and then switch, and then doing quicken spell. So I like immediately was like, okay, and you're at -6 to your attack. Good luck hitting Jeff.
I have like a 23 AC or something at this point.
So does my character.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
play, as we talked last time, I'm a paladin, of course. Why would you expect any different?
Yeah.
So I'm like rocking like a 23 AC.
We found a pair of rings that let you like put a guardian spell on a character, and the other character will like take part of that damage.
Mhm.
But it's like +2 AC for that, and like +1 to all your saves, +1 to your attacks. And so Shadowheart just takes all my damage for me when they can even hit me.
Yeah.
The fucking story behind those 2 rings was dark as fuck. Like there's like papers you find. There's like
Nah,
2 papers
we
you
didn't.
find.
No, we just
It's-
found them.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
dark.
Mostly like Act 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I will say one thing I really do like about Baldur's Gate is like we hit level 12 like a while ago, and like we still have a lot of Act 3. Like it's not like a lot of games you're like, and now you're max level, do a
Game's
couple
over.
fight, and then
Yeah.
the game's over. Now it's like we get to live in our max level, which is nice.
Yeah.
I did towards the end of our last session. I had sword and board, and now I'm trying 2-hand fighter for a little while.
I had spec'd Gale to be 2-hand fighter because you can equip him with 2 staffs, which give him like
Yeah.
both bonus and it like if you hold that 2 weapon fighter, you get +1 AC if you have 2 weapons like that. And then the one I equipped to his offhand, like all the main things I wanted from that staff to equip, I found a shield that does all of that, and it was like motherfuckers. Like I might have to respec him with withers for 100 gold to not do 2 weapon fighting.
Have you delved into the extra powers you get at all?
Not a ton for this playthrough. I'm
Okay.
definitely going to do another playthrough where I go hard into that.
I have 5 spaces left.
No. Have you started losing your teeth yet?
No,
Not that we
yet.
know of.
Not that I know of. But
Apparently, there do start to be effects at a certain point.
Oh,
He's got his ICP makeup on right now.
yeah,
So.
no, we went long rest. It's off now.
Oh, okay.
Now I just have all of the normal scars that I get for like delving into some of that shit. So
Stuff is happening.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But did you in the creche? Well, you said you didn't go. Okay.
No,
Highland.
No, but like you said, you didn't go deep into it. I will just say when you go to the creche.
I've done the crash.
Okay. No, well, I know. I'm saying you didn't go deep into the powers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, no, there's an ability if you jump ahead of Lae'zel in the machine.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. In a future playthrough, I'm
you should do that.
Yeah.
It is very cool.
I'm aware of yes.
Actions become bonus actions.
Yep.
Zach was going hard into that, and we're like, all right, Zach, you just do this.
Yeah.
That's
And then unfortunately, there was something that happened that gave us more access to it. But because Thursby is like the main
the
character,
host of the multiplayer.
Oh, sure.
He had to do it.
he had to do it so that I could get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's
We even save scummed 1 round,
yeah.
and it happened again, and we were like, well,
Great. Thanks,
cool.
Thursby.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I definitely told him that like if he has to go all the way, if there's at some point a thing where the only way for me to go all the way is for him to go all the way, then obviously we won't do it. But if I have a chance to get like fully, I'm gonna get fully.
Yeah.
Zach has a lot of counter spells right now.
I have
4?
not only do I have a shitload of counter spells, just from all the different things I could have, it looks like I have like okay, so on your bar on the top right, it'll show like what reaction things you can do. I have like 12 things that are like that can pop up at any moment to do shit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He's got like because he's wild magic. Are you still wild magic?
I am so wild magic.
Yeah. He's got wild magic. He's got luck. He's got a zillion counter spells.
Yeah.
I mostly spec'd out of Sword and Shield because the actual shield specialization was never happening.
Yeah.
Because it only procs if I am next to the person getting hit, not if I am next to the person hitting. So that means I have to be right next to whoever is getting hit.
Yeah.
And it was just not ever happening.
Yeah.
So I kept Sentinel, but now I'm two-hand Sentinel, which is like Guard in Blood Bowl, which is like if someone attacks someone else, I just get to hit that person now, which is way better than having to be right next to someone that is getting hit for me to put them on disadvantage. Like,
well, especially if you find the right like two-handed weapon with reach to where like you just control a
we
fucking...
don't have any of because I've never been two-hand this whole fucking campaign.
Yeah.
Depending on who you may have sold them to, because you get a bunch of them just through the game. You can go back and rebuy
Shadowheart
them.
had a couple that we just had because she has her like glaive thing, and then she had like a halberd, but we haven't been in combat for me to use it yet.
Once you go into Act 3, you cannot go back.
Oh, interesting.
So-
Yes.
It's not like...
and then there is also another part of Act 3 where you cannot go back to that first part of Act 3.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did learn, unfortunately, there's a cool horn you can get in Act 1 that you can only use in Act 1. It does not work anywhere else.
That makes sense. I found out that there was a staff that I was looking for that online guides were pretty shit at like trying to explain where it was. And I found out once we were in Act 3, because I had read somewhere that it was in Act 3 on this questline thing, that it was actually very early on in that questline in Act 1. And I was like, God damn it.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, I still have a good staff, but it would have been very nice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There was a two-handed weapon that increases your jump and makes you immune to fall damage. I would have fucking loved that.
God damn, yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, but that's all gone. But there is a two-handed weapon that's the best in the game that is in the part of Act 3 that we're in that we will do, that I will be like, mine.
Yeah. We did accidentally lock ourselves out a good amount of content.
Mostly by just continuing the quest instead of like stopping and going off and doing
Side
other
quest
quests.
stuff.
A side quest or things that were like that you learn and we were like, oh, we learned that, we can go back and do that, and then we finish, and then it's like you can't go back and do that anymore because you finished.
Oh,
yeah,
you motherfuckers.
I had a similar thing in mine in Act 2 where like I went and did a like temple thing and then went to the towers, and it was like, oh, because you did the towers, like all the stuff in the temple is actually gone now. And it's like, oh, nuts.
Yeah.
I do like that there's a lot of things like that, though, because I think it lends to replayability and it makes like different sessions kind of feel unique.
Another casual 30 plus hours of playing it again.
I'm going to bring my Steam Deck with me, and I'm going to try and get a good amount of Dark Urge playthrough going. So
I'm playing Dark Urge in my game with Megan. We haven't played in a while because we've been like, one of us has been gone a lot, but like, man, one of the first things like where the Dark Urge like storyline procs is just brutal.
The Gale.
Is it Gale?
No.
Oh, okay. I had mine proc on a Gale thing. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you would. So yes, I didn't do that.
I did. And then I accidentally skipped through, and I'm like, what's this? Oh, that's what that is in my bag. Okay.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. No, I mean like there's a long rest you do. Where somebody shows up and things happen, and it's interesting.
Nice. I have not done a long rest yet with it, so like playing it on my Steam Deck actually worked out pretty well. Compared, like,
nice. That's good to know.
It doesn't look
as good
as but it like controlled pretty well. It controlled it like you would if you're using a controller. So, which
for a while, Megan and I in our 2-player game were using controllers.
I've heard that they fixed. I think have they fixed it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because we were having some issues doing split screen, and then I just finally caved and bought Megan her own copy, so we could play on 2 different machines. But I know split screen was like a huge thing for them, where they really wanted it to work good. Don't DDT my dog. Yeah, she seems to like it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
more of a
BG3
WWF
continues to be
WCW
fucking one of the best games I've ever played in my life. I'm so in love with it.
It's very good.
I kind of hope somebody remasters BG 1 and 2 because I played both and I really liked both.
They are enhanced edition.
They're enhanced.
I didn't know
Yes.
that. I think it was BG 2. I, at one point, like hundreds of hours into a playthrough, like deep into a playthrough, went down into a dungeon, and like the way the autosave features worked, all of my autosaves got redone while I was in the dungeon, and then at the bottom of the dungeon, like there was a boss you had to beat to get out of the dungeon. You couldn't leave any other way, and it was like an impossible fight that I could never get past. So it was like, great, my entire save is lost because every one of them are now in this dungeon.
They did enhanced edition, so like for modern systems and resolutions.
Okay.
They fixed up a little bit of the pixel art in there, the sprites and stuff. But Baldur's Gate 1, 2, Icewind Dale 2,
Okay.
Planescape, and
Neverwinter.
Either Icewind Dale 1 or 2, I don't remember which one is Enhanced Edition. They lost the source code, and so they haven't ever been able to do Enhanced Edition. Yeah.
Bummer.
And then, I mean, you also have Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2.
Also love Divinity. Yeah. I've only ever played, I think, 2. I don't think I played Divinity 1, but I loved 2. Yeah.
JBF is this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's somebody, I just got an email for the Game Night website about somebody who's in town for GABF and wants to play board games.
Nice.
Yes.
Tell them to come to Game Night on Wednesday.
Where are we at on Wednesday?
That's a great question. I'd have to check the schedule.
I'm
I've
going 2 days.
Been enjoying Wheel of Time more in season 2. It is at this point so dramatically departed from the books that like it helps that Wheel of Time has this entire concept in the books of like time is cyclical and keeps coming back again, and like everything is, they always talk about like different turnings of the wheel. So for me, the show is just a different turning. So it's like what happened in a different version.
Yeah.
And so that helps a lot of my mental, like anytime I'm like, this isn't how it happened in the books. It's like, okay, well, that's because the books were this set of eras and this is this other set of eras. That helps me a lot.
And there's always going to be that shit whenever you translate from written or any of that stuff to live action.
It's frustrating to me when I see them like do something where I'm like, okay, well, they clearly like had to do this to explain this like key thing, but they only had to do it that way because they made this other change earlier. Whereas if they just stayed the same before, they could have just stayed the same here and it would have gotten the same point across. Like sometimes you see like a small change that they made early that felt like an insignificant change pile on. And it's like, yeah, that's why you should have done it the one way back in the beginning. I don't know. I'm still really liking it. It sucks that there's not a good online community for it right now because, like, at least on Reddit, all of the Reddit subs that have book readers are full of vitriol and hate. The main subreddit that used to be like for like people who hated the show, especially because a lot of them initially, some of the early hate for the show came just when they released the casting photos because people are like, oh, those aren't all a bunch of generic white people. That sucks.
Yeah.
That subreddit got shut down for being, a toxic fucking cancer. So then all of the people in that subreddit kind of scattered into other subreddits and have ruined all of them.
Remember, there's the cool subreddit and then there's the bad subreddit.
Yeah. There's no longer the bad subreddit for Wheel of Time. Mm-hmm. The bad subreddit was shut down, and so then they infected the
Sounds
cool
like there's
subreddits.
just a bunch of bad subreddits now.
It kind of feels that way.
I did find a bad Star Trek one. I was like, what the fuck?
It is wild to me when I hear about Star Trek fans who are like bad people because it's like, do you not get the core message of the entire show?
Season 4 of Lower Decks started.
Yes, it did.
That was good.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
I have not watched Lower Decks.
It's very good.
It's good.
I think Paul has it on his Plex, so I could at some point.
Yeah.
I've never been huge into Star Trek.
I haven't either. It was funny to watch Jeff's surprise look in his face when he saw me watching it.
I was like, Lower Decks is like a hardcore like reference to like love letter of Star Trek.
Okay.
I have enough knowledge. Like my mom was very into it when I was a kid. So Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, like she watched those. So I have some of that stuff in me enough to get by. And the show does a great job with it. Also, I watched one episode of Strange New Worlds because they do a crossover, and that was a very fucking good episode.
Yeah.
As someone who didn't watch any of Strange New Worlds, it 100% works.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I show wise for Star Trek, we watched a lot of Voyager as a kid. Like that was like one of the shows I remember I was like doing like as a family. Like, oh, Voyager's on. We're all like coming to watch Voyager the night it comes out.
You would probably like one of the season 4 episodes.
The premiere of season 4.
I assume Janeway or somebody's in it.
No. The ship.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a shot. I do like Star Trek. It's just
well, and do you like? I mean, it's like it's not Rick and Morty, but it's like
no. I think that's how they sold the show.
Yeah,
and then they were like, "Haha, we got it in.
Yeah,
let's just fucking make a cool Star Trek show."
Yeah,
nice.
Also, it helps that the two main leads, Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsom, are really fucking good.
Oh, nice. I do like both of them.
And they can live action just play those characters.
Yeah, they just played those characters and they fucking nailed it. Like,
cool.
So I'm going to JBF twice this week.
Okay.
Thursday and working Saturday during the Brewers session, which is the best session because the public is not allowed to buy tickets for that one.
Oh.
It's only people part of the Brewers Guild
There you go.
allowed to buy tickets for that one. That's also when the medals and stuff happen.
Sure. I work Thursday and Friday, so I
Neat.
work Thursday and Friday.
Cool.
Have fun at GABF while I'm at work.
Yeah.
is
I
the
do work
moral of that.
Thursday, and then I do JBF, and then I took Friday off, and then I go back to JBF on Saturday.
Nice.
It's the first full-strength JBF.
Like in terms of
Attendance,
attendance, yeah.
But they didn't sell out like they usually do
Oh,
in
weird.
2019, because it's usually like weeks or a month beforehand. So
Did it eventually sell out?
I
or-
don't know. I have not looked.
Whatever. I'm not gonna go still.
So we'll see.
Cool.
First one with Avery.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
Fancy.
Very fancy.
I think that wraps up banter.
Yeah.
Feels like
yeah,
we're
I played
hitting the-
Starfield,
hitting the
and
end.
I'm going to JBF. That's it.
Dope.
That's all I did.
Went camping and played a lot of BG3. So moving over to some news and Kickstarters.
we could probably just do the Kickstarter unless Jeff really wants to talk about that one game.
No.
All right. Dope.
Stonemeyer has a new game. Also, there's this Planet Fist thing. That's the news.
There you
That's
go.
the news.
They can wait till 3 weeks from now, maybe, if
Yeah.
we need things to talk about. First up, only up.
Only up on Kickstarter is more Terraforming Mars, which is super well funded. $1.6 million of its $10,000 goal. They would have been able to do all this for only $10K. If they got
Totally.
$10K, it would have been totally fine.
Yep.
13,625 backers, about 3 days left to go. There's a zillion pledge levels, but $45 seems to be the most popular good chunk of everything that's in here. I think,
if you want just like the Automa and Prelude 2
and then the like promos.
and the promos.
Yes. But there is more shit in here.
Yes.
That's for sure.
There is a lot of shit.
So Terraforming Mars is a
So Terraforming Mars, listeners of the show will know, is, podcast unanimous #1 best game of like 2019, 2018?
2015, 2016.
It was not that long ago. There's no way.
2002, I think.
I know that's not possible because I was still in high school and not playing board games. Okay.
The game came out in 2016. So I was right. 2016.
That was so long ago.
It sure was.
Most notably known as runner-up for components for
Adrian.
Honorable mention.
I said, yeah, that's what I meant. Not runner-up. Honorable mention is what I meant. Sorry.
Anyway, so this literally, as the tagline tells you on this Kickstarter, more Terraforming Mars. It is more. So Prelude 2 in and of itself is a bunch of more
I think
Prelude
that's the
stuff.
main star
Yep.
of what's in here.
There's 5 new corporation cards, 25 new Prelude cards, 24 new project cards. They do say that they like kind of support across to all.
I mean, I see some floater.
Yeah.
See some
Cards.
floaters, see some
Yeah.
colonies, see some Venus.
So if you don't play with some of those expansions, I don't know how many of the cards are actually going to be useful. That's one thing I am nervous about because, like, I'll probably never play with Venus again.
Yep.
Since I missed out on the replay that Zach was talking about earlier that him and Wes and Kaiser are doing. I'll probably never. I don't own Venus, so like depending on how many of those cards use Venus stuff, like those are useless to me. I don't know. We'll see how many of them actually can still be used. I'm surprised they only have 5 new corp cards.
yeah.
I mean, there's been so many corporations.
Yeah.
Milestones, something that I think we've been like, why haven't they done this since like the first expansion,
Yep.
which is 35 modular milestones and 35 modular awards that you can just sort of replace on pretty much any of these, it looks like.
Yeah, because with a lot of the other expansions, like with Venus, they added like modular ones that you could cover one of the spots with too. That
It had something to do with Venus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these will give you more to help tailor it towards the different expansions.
Yeah, which looking at them, it looks like some of them are the ones that are already there, so you can mix and match, because there's 5 on each of the maps. There's like currently 3 maps, so that's 15 of the 35 are ones that already exist. They're just now modular, so you can play with ones from maybe the Hellas map on the Elysian map, or the Elysian map on the base map, and mix it up a little bit.
Yep.
Which is welcome. I am excited about that. That's kind of it for the Prelude 2. The Automa expansion adds a solo mode. It already kind of had a solo mode,
and I liked it when I played it like on the app.
Yeah, it has
It's
this
great on
weird
the
like
app.
it has this weird like grid thing where it just kind of goes top down and will place based on like the number or something.
Yeah, so supposedly the Automa that they're putting in for this like does a good job of simulating playing against another player, because the solo mode you're just kind of playing by yourself, and it's more a race to win by a certain generation, whereas this is more like you're trying to beat the opponent.
Yeah.
So I could appreciate like maybe having both if it's done well.
Yeah. I know for me, if I'm still playing this by myself, I would just play I would play the app, but it only has the map expansion and Prelude. It doesn't have anything else, which I'm fine with.
Sure.
But on that, I would just play against AI versus like any of the solo stuff. So I mean, I've done it, but I don't know. It's there for the people that want it, but it was definitely one of the things that I was just looking at all of the different levels. All right, like, okay, this is the one I want. I want to make sure it doesn't have Automa, because that's just going to be a waste of money to me.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of stuff in the Automa. Not going to dive into it much more than we just did there. There are 2 different neoprene map packs. There's neoprene maps for the 3 base maps that already exist, so you can get a neoprene version of those. These also, all of the maps have space for the expansions.
Yeah.
So like they all have a little bit of a Venus area for like some of the things that happens on a Venus board. They all have like the council chambers for like
Turmoil.
Yeah.
They have the colonies off on the right too, which I do appreciate that.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to just ignore them if you're not playing with them. They also have an expansion set of neoprene maps that are the 4 new boards that are available. Utopia, Planetetia, Terra, Cimmeria, and Vastius Borealis are 3 just new maps that are the base kind of size. And then
yes,
they have 1 map that is Amazonas Plantia that is expanded board, extra fucking big.
So it's like the base board, but really big.
Yeah. 14 new city/greenery, 2 new ocean tiles, and longer tracks on all of the terraforming tracks.
So it's for 5 players specifically.
Yep.
To make it a quote unquote longer game.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to try it, but also
I feel like I've played a 5-player game on the base maps and it's still fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I needed it to be longer, but sure.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that there is regular mounted paper versions of the expansions
of the new maps,
that don't have all of the entirety of all the bullshit on the neoprene ones.
It did not come originally, and then they asked, like, people were basically begging for it.
Yes.
Especially because it was like, well, the only way to get the new expansions were as neoprene mats.
Yes.
And so they're not matching. So you'd have to spend extra. So it's nice that they added that into that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Also, it doesn't have all of the expansion bullshit printed on them, which is...
You're not a fan of that?
Sometimes I want to just play the game with what expansions I add, and adding those boards on top of that instead of it being pre-printed is nice as an option.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'll default to. The worst thing for me is like I have the broken token from before broken token revealed themselves to be pieces of shit.
Yep.
But I still have it. And my board already has a substantial amount of lift from just the Hellas and Elysium map. If I add, assuming they do them as double-sided mounted maps, that's still 2 more board maps.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's that much more lift. Like I don't have I need a big box. I need a bigger box.
They make a big box.
They make a big box, but I don't know if you can get it anywhere anymore.
I guarantee they will let you.
It is not in the Kickstarter.
I bet it's going to be a fucking pledge manager option, guaranteed.
I hope so, because I would not mind getting a bigger box.
They
as long as
are-
the core length and width are the same, so that I can move what I currently have into that and then just add things on top of it. But we'll see. They are doing new rule books. I can't tell on this, like if they're doing one rule book that has like everything in it, and then there's the solo play rules.
I think
the Prelude 2 rules.
It's mostly just like there are new rule books, and then these are the new rule books
That could be
for the Prelude rules, the
Automa and the
and then
awards
the
and milestones.
awards, yes, because I
Yeah.
clicked through to read all of the different milestones.
Oh. There you go.
Yes.
They have a bunch of milestones that are like day one unlocks that are like promo cards for more
Well, they're
corporations.
They always do day 1, day 2, etc.
Yeah.
for all of their stuff.
so a bunch
It also
of
seems
promo
like the new
cards.
rules are like a 2-page, 3-page
Okay.
rules for
like most of the expansion rules
Yeah.
are for
Yeah.
them. So yeah, that $45 one that Jeff was talking about is the most popular. That one is Automa and Prelude 2 with all of the unlocks, including that like awards and milestone stuff. You start getting dramatically more expensive when you start getting a little bit of everything. 134 is Prelude and all of the neoprene and all of the cards and promos.
So that's the lowest one that has all of the mats.
Yeah.
The maps, it has Prelude and it has the milestones, but it doesn't have Automa. So, like, that was the one that I was looking at.
Yeah.
And I know they have a lot of add-ons too that you can just like you can
buy stuff, mix and match.
Yeah,
a la
mix and match
carte.
how you want stuff. But
I might pick up the sleeves, although
They were at Gen Con.
yeah,
already barely holds the
Exactly.
cards.
You could spend $278 and get everything.
Yeah,
mean,
I
you
will
want
not be
two,
doing
you want
that.
two versions of the maps, 'Cause that'll get you
Including-
two versions of the maps,
including the big
Pass.
box plastic 3D tiles of all of the new stuff
Yeah.
that they're adding for the expansions.
Yep.
So yeah, lots of stuff. It also does have a little bit of controversy.
Yep,
They used AI art,
they did.
They did.
which has some people very upset. Personally, I'm not sure I really care. I'm going to be honest.
I do know. I have seen several like board game, not publications, but board game people.
Yeah, Polygon had a really good interview with the folks over there, like grilling into them of like exactly how they're using it, why they're using it. And the only reason they really put it on there is because Kickstarter was like end of August, like they had a new policy of like if you have AI shit, you have to say that on your page. And then they added that when they needed to, and people were like, "Oh, you never said this until you had to." It's like hidden in the bottom of the fucking page.
No.
The reason why I'm not to say okay with it, but like I don't. This one doesn't bother as much is just because so much of their art felt like stock art previously.
Yeah.
But it's still ideally
Now they can just pay no one, not even the stock art companies, to make
yeah.
bullshit, except to pay the AI company that will generate this art.
Like we're seeing on here is that they made they're making 1.6 million.
yes,
They probably could have just paid some.
correct.
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
there's a reason Terraforming Mars went to Kickstarter anyway and started making stupid amounts of money on Kickstarter with their like last few
Exactly,
expansions.
yeah.
Because
instead of,
Indie
like,
Boards and Cards bought
yes.
merged with Stronghold, and
And-
Indie Boards and Cards does only Kickstarters.
Yeah. So
They don't
it's-
publish games; they do Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been saying that they really should do better in their art. And like I felt like Ares Expedition, like that art was a lot better.
Yes.
I feel like. And
But also their reasoning here was like, well, it's available and it's not illegal yet, and we didn't make the AI tool; we're just using it.
we're not the steal. We're not.
Yeah, we didn't punch in the art assets; they punched in the art assets.
Yes, that is stealing from. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's certainly not something that's going to keep me from considering getting
I
it.
agree, but I still am a. You could have done better.
Oh, they could have,
Yeah.
but also like I'm not under the I've never been under the impression that any major board game company is any more ethical than any other major company.
I know.
Like,
it's still just
it's capitalism.
Yes, exactly.
Like, it's unethical by its very nature. It's consumerism. It's basically unethical by its very nature. Like, you know, there's not really any way around it. So, but yeah, that's it. That's
It's more Terraforming Mars.
More Terraforming Mars. That's the one and only Kickstarter item for the day.
Yep.
Indeed.
Which I think basically wraps up the episode. No listener feedback that I saw.
Nope.
If anybody wants to get a hold of us, they can always send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You should also be sure to check out and join our Discord channel. Link is in the show notes.
Yep.
And yeah, it's
only somewhat recently I realized the first time we did Discord, I changed the info over for Discord, but then I didn't save that to the main blank or the main spot that I copy from. So for a while I was still copying Slack, but it is now Discord. So the link is actually in there.
That's good to know. I feel bad for anybody who was like, man, this episode they said to go to Discord, but the link is only for Slack channel. Maybe that was still back before Slack deleted all of the messages that were like, hey, we're abandoning Slack, move to Discord.
Probably not.
Maybe we should change all of the Slack channels in Slack, change the names to go to Discord.
Yes.
Go to Discord. Go to Discord. Yeah, there you go. That's how you can get in touch with us, through Discord or through sending us emails. Otherwise, thanks everybody for listening. I hope you all have a great time. We'll be back in approximately 3 weeks. Cheers.
Unless you guys want to record next week without me. Find someone else and then you have to do the edit.
Maybe.
I will leave it up to you. Okay.
Listeners should plan on hearing us in 3 weeks, and anything sooner is a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm Great American Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.